Our God is with us, heart dwellers, as we enter into a time of preparation. That's what the message is about tonight. It's September the 29th, 2015. Before I get into the message, I just want to ask special prayers for Sherry Burke. Lost her little 1-year-old granddaughter, and we are asking for prayers for her and for her daughter who lost the baby. Do keep them in your prayers. It was a terrible loss. She died suddenly of a heart and brain infection. So we will pray for her. I also wanted to ask if there's anyone out there who's really good at transcribing. We are putting together a couple of books and we need help with transcribing the earlier messages. So if that happens to be your gift and you have the time, please let us know. Thanks. Okay, on to the message here. The Lord began, "Trouble is coming to America. You know it's been a long time coming, but it hasn't been canceled, only delayed." At the point that he said that, I saw a vision of a long, long freight train moving very slowly but steadily. He continued, "It's been coming and is still at the threshold, not quite to begin yet. I want all of you to be prepared by being steadfast in me." Do you understand? Very clever demons have been assigned to this channel to bring you all down. But I will continue to vindicate you, Claire. You needn't bother with defending me. I can take care of the both of us. Thanks, Lord. But I have trained all of you in the sly deceits of the wicked ones, and it wouldn't hurt you, my brides, to go over the discernment messages and teachings again. Yeah, there's a playlist with 36 of them, and there's probably some I didn't put on the playlist recently. Jesus continued, "All of them bring up a different aspect of spiritual warfare. Strife, division, and backbiting are main assignments, so be particularly vigilant over all your motives, knowing that if you sow strife in your homes, you will reap strife, and strife will weaken you. In a weakened state, your discernment and faith will begin to fail you. Much better to let others be right, my brides, than to enter into dissension and be weakened in your faith. Pride will be another defensive posture the enemy will try to engender. Again, let others be right and move on, especially in the home and workplace, where you must deal with them every day. Be a no-fight person. Let me tell you a secret. If they can't get a rise out of you, they'll find someone else to pick on. So no fight is also a very peaceful little island to dwell on. But before they are convinced you are a no-fight, no-fun person, they will test you to the max. Your worth, my bride, is not in what people say about you, but in my body and blood shed on Calvary, that I might have you with me in heaven forever. Recognize these attacks are from the enemy and let them bounce right off of you. If you must, retire to the restroom and seek me that I might strengthen you with my grace. Overcommitment is another very powerful demon linked to selfish ambition. Ambition is a driving force that seeks to wear you out, so your discernment and faith will waver. These are matters of the heart and soul that you must protect under the breastplate of righteousness. As usually done every year, the demons of avarice and ambition are released into the Christian world as promoters of business in order that you may be totally worn out through the winter months. The demons are not above using false guilt and sentimentality to motivate you. Resist this with all your might. I am not pleased at all with all the materialism during that season. It is abhorrent to me. Whether it be pressure from relatives or your own inner avarice, don't give in to it. Make these coming seasons a time of holiness and greater depth in me. And then the Lord said something to me, and I didn't want to repeat it. I said, "Oh Lord, I'm getting tired of fighting, so I don't want to say what you just told me to say." And he said, "Say it anyway, Claire. It needs to be said for the innocent, in their defense." Yes, Lord. And all of you who are going to take exception to this next paragraph, oh well, you can just add it to his take on the Shemitah year and how he warned about that. I have no defense for God. This is what I believe he's saying, so I'm just going to repeat it. So Jesus continued. He said, "There's nothing wrong with celebrating and commemorating my birth. I would ask those of you who feel differently not to force your self-righteous attitude onto others. There are many ways I communicate to little children during that season, but it should be celebrated in spirit and in truth and heart, never in materialism. Yes, it was a pagan holiday, but the church in her wisdom assigned a feast day there to replace the evil holidays they were celebrating before they became Christians. This has become a time of celebrating the mystery of my incarnation, my humility and lowliness, all the miracles attesting to me during that time. It is a time of wonder and grace, when many, many graces from heaven are dispensed to the faithful and to little children. A little token of love is much better than a full-blown materialistic indulgence. And as the days approach, children should be taught that the greatest gift you can give to me is yourself. Reading stories of the heroes of the faith and how they gave themselves to me is a beautiful way to drive home the true meaning of this season. Having a little manger scene is something the little ones will never ever forget, and makes this season so different from all the others. And just as an aside here, the Lord had dealt with me about this way, way long time ago when my children were little. And with my 4 children, we made corn husk dolls of Moses and Jeremiah and, the prophets and Ruth and all the holy men and women in the Bible. And we'd write a little story about them every night and hang them on an old sagebrush plant in our living room that we decorated with lights and glitter. And then we had a little manger scene as well that the children made out of clay. And we talked a great deal about the Lord and about all the things that happened during his birth. It was a very special time. He had mentioned earlier about the breastplate of righteousness, and he asked me if I wanted to know what that was about. He said, "These are matters of the heart and soul that you must protect under the breastplate of righteousness." And I don't really have a strong teaching or concept of that yet. I mean, I've heard the words, but I don't really have any depth about it. And tonight the Lord went into some depth about it for me, and really appreciate that. Jesus continued, "The breastplate of righteousness protects your internal organs, your heart, your soul, your energy sources. As your conscience resides right in the center of your solar plexus, just below the heart, these are to be guarded with great care. How does one put on righteousness? Obedience to my known will. Deliberately transgress my known will, and immediately there is a hole in your armor, which condemnation may enter through. You know you did what was not pleasing to me, and now your heart moves from loving me to fearing me. And the demons take full advantage of the opening to find myriads of ways to make you feel condemned. But you can fight them off easily if you've obeyed me, and you know you are standing in my will. What a beautiful defense this is. Nothing can touch a soul in my will through the breastplate of righteousness when you are living a life of daily obedience. To the degree that you are obedient to my will and my wishes, to that degree will your breastplate be ironclad tight and impenetrable. I want you to stand in these times when many are going to fall, because they have not been prepared to fight the good fight. They do not know the value of suffering. They do not experience the times of profound refreshment and worship with me. And those two things have made them highly vulnerable. Most are trained to believe that when everything is going right in their lives, they are indeed in my will and in my blessing. But more often than not, it is a perilous time for them. Satan no longer sees them as a threat, so he leaves them alone and disarmed. When a soldier in Christ begins to stand up boldly and live for me, he or she becomes an instant target. My brides, your resolve to do what is right, to please me, will draw opposition and trouble. That is why it is of utmost importance that you know how to protect and replenish yourself in me. Many are the troubles of the righteous, but I will deliver you from them all. It's Psalm 34:19. Because so many are taught a prosperity equals righteousness doctrine, they are even more vulnerable when the world and all it has to offer suddenly fails them. They do not measure the value of their lives in terms of my blood, but rather in terms of net worth in the world. This is why so many committed suicide during the Great Depression. Their self-worth was based totally on their worldly worth. So now we have a homelessness coming to those who live in nice houses, have boats, cars, and nice things, and are in debt up to their eyebrows. When all these status symbols are taken away from them, they will not know which way to turn, and they won't know who they are. It will be at this time that you are to be a beacon of light, shedding that light on the true worth of their souls. That is my passion. You will be standing fast, and they will want to know what anchors you. They will listen because they're desperate, and you seem to be offering them an answer that cannot be corrupted by the world. And then I asked him here, I said, well, Lord, when they lose all these things and can no longer work long hours to maintain them, they will have more time for you, right? And he answered me, that's part of it. Simply by force of habit, time will be broken open to them to spend in other ways than making money and shopping. This is where, hopefully, I can enter and offer them salvation and a life full of meaning rather than a life full of emptiness. This is my mercy in action, Claire. I want my bride's full attention on me, and this stripping away is going to bring many back to me. It is, in a manner of speaking, a low-key, family-by-family revival. It is already happening around the world because time is so short. My Spirit is moving on the waters of mankind and bringing many up from death to be born again in me. And you were faithful to speak my word to you, that there will be no mass revival until after the rapture. But right before your very eyes, tiny pockets of people are being converted and added to the kingdom daily. And that is the revival many were expecting before the rapture, but haven't as yet recognized they are in the midst of it. It is happening everywhere, all over the world. Those who believe in my mercy and have been looking for something more evident and high profile are missing it and still waiting. But what they are expecting will come the day you are raptured. This unprecedented day in history will shake many out of their stubborn slumbers and into the reality that I am real. Then revival will be evident all over the globe. You see, my mercy is working in ways not anticipated by man or the enemy. So what I am saying is, this will be a time to shine, my bride, when none of them can any longer make sense of their lives. You will be their beacon of salvation. But before this can happen, you must be firmly established in me. Stay away from the secular media, which is thoroughly saturated with the enemy's agenda. Stay away, stay away, stay away. Your thinking must be controlled by my spirit, not by the world, which is totally in servitude to Satan. Because you are independent in your thinking, you will act and react in the spirit, and will be able to shepherd those around you. Even the youngest among you will be able to lead their elders, whose minds have been corrupted and asleep. Your time in worship, listening to worship music, praising me through the sunsets, the crickets, and the snowflakes. Worship and praise will elevate your minds even higher, beyond the death that is everywhere in this world. Worship is simply recognizing who I am and thanking me for my care and benefits. You can do that anywhere, anytime, and I will respond by drawing you up into myself. The music is very helpful when it's anointed to worship me, but you don't have to have music to worship. You don't have to open your mouth. Many times that will be inappropriate. Worship in spirit and in truth, magnifying me in your heart and mind. That indeed is worship in spirit and truth. Sometimes opening your mouth makes you self-conscious and takes away from our deep communion together. Worship as you are led, not as you think others say you should worship. You are not impressing anyone here. We are alone together in the sanctuary of your heart. No one is expecting a performance. I just want your gratitude and worship. So these things are for you to consider, my doves. These are times of preparedness and dwelling in me, living through me. You are dwelling in the vine, growing in strength daily and in glory. And it is our joint effort that will yield the fruit, as long as you stay intimately connected to the vine. I love you all dearly, and the grace to persevere. In all of these things I've asked for you is being imparted to you.